All right, people, you know the sound. The Unfiltered band means yes, another episode of Unfiltered coming your way right here, right now. Officially, this will go down as episode number 162. Kevin Durant dealt to Phoenix. You can come on board and be dealt here from wherever you might be from, living, or will be part of the Unfiltered Revolution. A couple of ways to do that, and thank you, Unfiltered Band. You can jump on board on Twitter at Casey Stern. You can then get into the bio, get into the YouTube channel, like, subscribe, get into all the videos, and of course, equal opportunists are me, are we, and me. I apologize. Can you tell it's 2:40 in the morning when I'm doing this live to tape because of this gigantic, ginormous, unbelievable size NBA news. So you got to go and do it as live as possible with this trade that just came through. And here are the wee hours on the East Coast just a few moments ago. The notification actually woke me, and I was going through this trade in my head, and I was like, I'm not going to sleep anyway. And boom, rather than knocking out in the morning, here you go. That's what we do at Unfiltered, because equal opportunists, as I was saying, we welcome all of you, Apple, Spotify, everywhere you get your podcasts. How many podcasts you got doing that? Now, granted, I apologize for those of you watching on video, because I look like absolute garbage, although some of you are nodding and saying you look like you should be on radio anyway. So I appreciate you nonetheless. Not as much as I appreciate the folks who make this all possible. We, as always, are presented by our good friends at BetOnline. BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. Everything from NFL playoffs to pro and college basketball, UFC, MMA, and more. You always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. Live betting options, free contests, and live scores for almost any sport or game imaginable. BetOnline truly is really the fastest and easiest way. Bet all your favorite leagues and events. It's simple. Head over to the website today. Use your mobile device, and you can join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your rewards. It's betonline.ag, betonline.ag, where the game starts as we get started. Kyrie, 24 points in his debut. Kyrie, now a member of the Dallas Mavericks. Luka returning from injury. Soon those two will play together. That was the big trade. That's where the excitement was. Last night, excitement for me, being a Knicks fan, Josh Hart rejoining Jalen Brunson. If you haven't seen, check it out. Went viral. I put it on my Twitter. It's fantastic. The response on a night, and congrats to Jalen Brunson, the Knick who went back to Nova to get his number retired. And how about Jalen Hart? Just our Jalen Hart. Josh Hart, excuse me. It is 2:40 in the morning. Josh Hart, just hours before, congratulating his buddy and his college teammate, Jalen Brunson, on all of his success at Nova. And then Jalen Brunson, just moments after the event, being shown on his cell phone from a friend that Josh Hart was on his way to New York. Now, he didn't realize at the time, and the deal wasn't announced at the time, that their teammate, Arcidiacono, who's currently on the Knicks at the end of the bench, is part of the deal, so it will not be the three of them together, only two of them. And then, of course, you got DiVincenzo, who is out there in Golden State, for those of you who follow Jay Wright and company and all the success they had at Villanova, where those guys all won like 1 million games over 4 years of college, which nobody plays anymore anyway, and lost very few. But that was a deal. I was like, okay, that's kind of a big deal. Then we had, on a day after, and hopefully you cut the episode I did on LeBron, on a day after the LeBron phenomena, in that scenario, Russell and Russell, not a law firm, but the trade, D'Lo, back into L.A. again. Part two, Russell Westbrook traded, moved, finding a new home again. Part 7,312. Russell Westbrook going to Utah, where many times as an opponent, he didn't make many friends. Mike Conley and company, they move on to Minnesota, and D'Angelo Russell, who we'll get to with the Brooklyn Nets in a second, certainly had his own fun with, watch, Spencer Dinwiddie in that great run under Kenny Atkinson that they had. Spencer Dinwiddie now back in the fold after that deal as part of it with Kyrie Irving. And speaking of Twitter and viral, I posted this as well. Spencer Dinwiddie, who I love, a dude I've interviewed in the past, and is phenomenal in terms of his personality, saying he doesn't know. He's excited to get back to Brooklyn. We'll see how the team does, but at least he knows they're better looking now. D'Angelo Russell, who I got a chance to spend some time with at an event at All-Star Weekend. I think it was the one in New Orleans, I believe. Maybe it was Charlotte. Was it? I think it was New Orleans. And I got to spend some time with him. Was it LA? I think it was New Orleans. And I got to spend some time with him we did a video game event that he was my co-host, that Karl Anthony Towns, at the time who was not even yet his teammate, ironically, won. For not NBA 2K, it was that the Playground one, which is a fun game. And he's a good dude. And I think I like the story of D'Angelo Russell, who, look, I mean, it's about the situation with the late Kobe and, other issues with other teammates and not getting along and the stuff that happened behind the scenes and the drama. It was like, the season of Housewives with everything that was going on with him. And he gets moved and he got to change of scenery and he knew it was the right thing. Ended up being the best thing for his career. Goes to Brooklyn, has success, rebuilds, all of that. Former number 2 pick, of course, Ohio State. And here's D'Angelo Russell now getting to go back. And now he and Vanderbilt and company, the guys who go in that deal, the big part of this thing, because look, even though LeBron, had the big night, they lost the game to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Thunder. They lost the game, and they're 25-30. They lost the game, and they don't look like they're even a playoff team. Well, D'Angelo Russell going to help that cause. No offense to Russell Westbrook, who is doing the best he could to help a couple of causes off the bench. One, showing that he could play that role if he was absolutely forced to and imprisoned to, and that he still has ability. And then number 2, that he still is Russell Westbrook, who I've defended many times over his career, but he could drive you nuts in his own right. D'Angelo Russell back to LA. And that was a lot of news. And that was enough on the eve before the trade deadline, which, by the way, is not even until 3 o'clock Eastern time coming up here today, now that it is officially Thursday, the 9th of February in the year 2023. And then we got the news. And then all the notifications on my phone and everybody else's to wake you up. Then the Woj bomb of all bombs. The Phoenix Suns acquiring the 13-time NBA All-Star Kevin Durant in a blockbuster trade with the Nets. Phoenix sending Mikal Bridges, who is not going to be happy. Mikal Bridges is a guy who, speaking of Villanova, by the way, ironically, how about all the tie-ins today already in 8+ minutes in the middle of the night? This is accidental brilliance, but Mikal Bridges, of course, who was, in addition to DiVincenzo and Brunson and Hart and Arcidiacono, another member of that team with Jay Wright. Mikal Bridges, who is a terrifically brilliant dude and a really good basketball player, who, if you've heard him interviewed or conversations before, you could not love Chris Paul any more than Mikal Bridges loves Chris Paul. You could not love being a Phoenix Sun any more than Mikal Bridges loves being a Phoenix Sun. He now might want to feel like shooting himself into the sun, becoming a member of the Brooklyn Nets. Phoenix sending Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, a really good young player. Jay Crowder, who's had his own issues, but we know he could still play, but they'll move him again. He won't end up in Brooklyn by 3. 4, count them, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 first-round picks and a 2028 pick swap. The picks in 2023, 2025, 2027, 2029 are unprotected. So the first-round pick, unprotected variety across the board, it is what it is. This coming year in 2023 in the draft, 2025, 2027, 2029, 4 unprotected picks. In addition to Durant, the Suns also get TJ Warren, who obviously we know has a lot of value when he's healthy. He's certainly coming off being out for a long time in defensively, and he's, instant offense at times as well. And how about, a little bit of this and a little bit of ish for the new owner, Matt Ishbia, who has been, certainly somebody who I think everybody has taken account, wants to do unbelievably huge things for this Suns team, and boy, is he off to a good start. Boy, is he off to a good start. Yeah, after the Nets moved Kyrie, Kevin Durant, for those of you obviously know who are NBA fans and not just listening on the baseball side and learning all about all this madness, which is fine. Please excuse me, sip of water. But those of you NBA fans know Kevin Durant's hurt currently, so he wasn't playing. So Kevin Durant did not just play his last game as a Net, at least since the Kyrie deal. He'd been playing his own games since he became a Brooklyn Net. How about the 30 for 30 in the life and times? Let's start there. Of Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and of those Brooklyn Nets. Kyrie Irving signs the deal, brings in Durant, then doesn't play in the pandemic. Then we think he wants to get moved. Then he has the anti-Semitic thing. Then he's going to play. Then he wants to sign a long-term deal and everything's hockey-dory, kumbaya, let's go, let's go, let's go. And then he wants the hell out and he's gone, gone, gone. Kevin Durant came on board, wasn't healthy, couldn't play. Then when he was able to play, because Kyrie couldn't, and when I say couldn't, he couldn't in his own principles, he said, couldn't play, Kevin Durant, just asked PJ Tucker, helped drag the Nets all the way into and nearly all the way through the postseason, all by his lonesome. Then Kevin Durant and Kyrie were going to be together. It was all going to be good, but wait, Kevin Durant wanted the hell out. Kevin Durant wanted a trade. Kevin Durant didn't want to be there anymore. Kevin Durant wasn't happy with management, wasn't happy with Joe Tsai, wasn't happy with the owners, didn't want Steve Nash, the guy that Kevin Durant, remember their time together with the Warriors, Kevin Durant wanted in there in the first place. He then said in the offseason, this dude here, I ain't here. And guess what? Just days into the season, Steve Nash was gone. Jacques Vaughn was in. So he didn't get moved. He was okay with staying there. He said it was overblown. Everything was just honky-dory and fine. And then he finally got Steve Nash fired. And he and Kyrie were going to do this thing. And then all of a sudden, a funny thing happened. They started playing well. But Kevin Durant got hurt. Kyrie played really well. Wow, can't wait till Kevin Durant gets back. Uh-oh, big problem. Kyrie now wants the hell out. And then guess what? Just in the past few days, Kevin Durant basically telling ownership, get me the hell out too. Kyrie Irving, when he went to Dallas, saying he was disrespected. They didn't treat him like, quote, he was wanted. They didn't, quote, I love this, they didn't celebrate him. I mean, you want to talk about being an egotistical jackass. They didn't celebrate him. Really? Now, look, I don't know what went on behind the scenes. I don't. Clearly, the Nets are a dysfunctional disaster. They are. And by the way, think about the Brooklyn Nets and their franchise and their history. And, anybody who knows, I've had him on the show. I'm friends with, I love Billy King, right? But you go back to the Nets days of that whole situation and the Pierces of the world and the guys they brought in, and then all those guys going out the door and all that not working and trading the future, and it doesn't go to where you want to go. And now you're sitting there, you've got Kyrie Irving. I mean, look, for all the things I said about Kyrie, I ain't stupid, the talented dude, right? You got Kyrie Irving, you got Kevin Durant, right? And then, oh, by the way, you got Joe Harris and Seth Curry, and you got Claxton, and you got all these other talented dudes. This is a hell of a team. Now you get kids like Thomas, who are playing well. Jacques Vaughn seemed to be the right guy. You got you got players on this team. It's Kevin Durant. It's Kyrie. You got those guys, and now you got a bunch of guys. Here's the irony for the Nets in the good and the bad. In the offseason, when you're looking at Kevin Durant cause a scene, and Kevin Durant caused the problems he was causing, You knew this was a nightmare. I said on this show, go back in the podcast right before the year began. Go listen to it. I said, without a shadow of a doubt, Kevin Durant would be asking out before the season was over. And I said on this very podcast, Kevin Durant wouldn't make it through the year with the Nets. Now, I did not think it was going to go the way it went, because the crazy part is that it seemed like everything was sort of fine-ish. And then Kyrie was playing really well. And then he wanted out. And then there was still a chance that, okay, well, Kyrie's out. You know, the Dinwiddie deal, okay, you're going to pick. Well, maybe Kevin Durant is talking with ownership, and maybe the Nets can make a deal to add players. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, Durant got 3 years left. Durant knows he's the dude. And look, deep down, Durant knows Kyrie's a mess. So maybe now Kevin Durant gets to be the GM, right, player scenario that everybody, you know, wants to be in this world LeBron's lived in and Chris Paul's lived in. And he gets to sit there and say, okay, well, I want that guy, I want this guy, I want this guy. And I'm thinking, you know, Kevin Durant now got a chance to, you know, look, if you can find a trades that work out, to try and bring in players he wants. And then the offseason, really try and bring in players he wants and just mold himself, his own team that he wants to play with for the next 3 years, because it's going to be what it's going to be. But maybe better for Kevin Durant and the Nets. He's Kevin Durant, Kyrie not, and he got a chance to kind of make this thing go. Look, LeBron, Booby Gibson, Ilgauskas, LeBron, Shumpert, J.R. Smith. Kevin Durant, pretty darn good. He don't need the best play. Kevin Durant would, again, all the way to the end and right there, right, late in the series with the Bucks, and he had supporting cast members. There's no Kyrie there at the time. So I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe this could have worked. Now Kevin Durant's gone. It's hard to sit there and say the Nets are better off. I mean, look, Sean Marks is just seemingly like, look, it coming off like a mess. Joe Tsai coming up like a mess. They got like a bunch of supporting cast players and no stars anymore. And now you're back to the drawing board. I know it's East Coast, Eastern Conference, but you're back to the drawing board. Who are you right now? Where are you going right now? You're not even a playoff team right now in terms of as constituted. You started the season this way. What are you now? Ironically, the Nets may be much more cohesive. The Nets may be easier to coach, will be, or Jacques Vaughn. But you're a dysfunctional mess. And this franchise, everything, you know, look, you know, my dog, and my driveway's on a little bit of a slant. I go take him out, and sometimes, you know, he don't want to make it to, you know, the grassy area. He go, you know, take a crap. That thing rolling down the driveway. That's how organizations roll. If you got it bad at the top, that you know where and what is rolling right down the hill. So what do we got right now with Joe Tsai and Sean Marks and that whole thing? I don't know. Do you? How you feeling about it? Not great. Dysfunctional mess in Brooklyn. Don't know what the hell to think about where that team's going to go. Talk about Durant and Phoenix. Kevin Durant got 3 years left. And now you got Chris Paul with KD and Devin Booker just returned. And Monty Williams. And you got that group. And you got them dudes. Here are the odds and where they were before this trade and where they've gone in the last hour or two since this trade was announced. I had this up somewhere. Let me see if I could find it. Hold on one sec. Okay. Let's see. The Phoenix Suns odds. Entering Wednesday, yesterday, the Phoenix Suns were 18-1 to win the NBA championship for Caesars. They are now plus 500 to win it all. Second best odds in terms of the smallest odds. Being looked at as the second best team in the NBA and the best in the Western Conference. The only team with smaller odds than them are the Bucks. That's it. That's where you vault when you now got Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and DeAndre Ayton, and let's go get him. And I'm going to tell you right now, if Kevin Durant is healthy, the Phoenix Suns are going to win the whole thing. How quickly things change. Chris Paul seemingly should be like 100 years old. but he can be spry now. Devin Booker got a whole season still to play. After coming back from the injury, work him slow, whatever. You just get ready for the playoffs. Kevin Durant coming up with an injury. So health certainly is going to be a factor. But Kevin Durant not going to have any problem fitting in with playing with Chris Paul and with Devin Booker. Kevin Durant been trying to get to Phoenix for a year. Chris Paul is salivating at the thought of having Kevin Durant. Chris Paul is an actual point guard in a world where we don't even have those anymore. And we'll know exactly how to put Kevin Durant in the positions he wants. And Devin Booker going to acquiesce as much as he needs to. And Kevin Durant can acquiesce because he knows how great he'll want to because of how great Devin Booker is. And, oh, by the way, DeAndre Ayton. And, by the way, more supporting cast, even though you lost Bridges and Johnson. And, oh, by the way, playoff experience from a couple of years ago in the long run. And, oh, by the way, Monty Williams, who can coach his ass off. Phoenix Suns going to win the whole thing if Kevin Durant's healthy. That'll be the if. Because, I mean, that's the other thing people don't want to talk about. Kevin Durant hasn't been healthy. Kevin Durant injured, not injured, back and forth. It's not like a Kyrie thing like where he decided not to play. Kevin Durant hasn't been healthy full year, give you everything you need. Kevin Durant is healthy, full-blown Kevin Durant, give you everything you need. The rest of the season, Phoenix Suns going to win the whole damn show. That's it. Shout out RVD. So you got D'Angelo Russell back in L.A. after a dysfunctional visit for number 1. You got dysfunctional visit number 412 for Russell Westbrook, who now moves as the other Russell comes in, passes him by, and goes to Utah, where they basically couldn't stand the guy for I don't even know how many years. Mike Conley and company go to Minnesota, where how's that all worked out with the GoBot, Rudy Gobert, and Cat? But dysfunction takes a step to the side for the level of dysfunction the Nets are, who now again have built and then destructed. They may be much less destructive in huddles. They may be a more cohesive unit, but they're a unit right now that isn't as good a basketball team as the Knicks in their own city, let alone have any chance in the Eastern Conference. Done. D-O-N. Done. Bye. And goodbye to not only Kyrie Irving, who's now in Dallas, waiting for the returning health of Luka to play with him. 24 points and a win. Kyrie laughing his ass off, loving life. That won't last. Remember what I said to you before the season? Kevin Durant going to ask for a trade. Kevin Durant going to be gone, won't make it through the year. Kyrie Irving will make it to the end of the year because he's trying to get signed. He may end up with the Lakers in the offseason. Maybe it's not going to be Dallas. Who knows? Kyrie will be a very, very well-behaved individual for the rest of its, 3 months. Try and make a run with Dallas to earn his pay. That's what Kyrie going to do. Kyrie trying to give you everything Kyrie can give you to show you. It's the Nets' dysfunction. The Nets who are a mess. Kyrie was asked a couple hours ago after the game about Kevin Durant deal. They asked Kyrie, and the first quote that I saw was, he's so happy that Kevin Durant got out of there. Like Kevin Durant had escaped this terrible, terrible place. Not that Kyrie had anything to do with it. Not that Kevin Durant wanting out of there all the time had anything to do with it. You know, Joe signed on the floor. Sean Marks on the floor. You know, Steve Nash not there anymore. You can't put it's none of their fault. There's no accountability for anything anymore. I mean, athletes today, it's like, my God, I hate to generalize. 90% of them, can we have some damn accountability? My God. Kyrie is Kevin Durant is so blessed that he got the hell out of there. Like, Kyrie didn't create any of that madness. And by the way, I'm not saying when there ain't smoke, there ain't fire, because there's clearly a problem with the Nets. But I think everybody involved got a piece of that pie. But Kyrie now happy in Dallas. And from Big D to KD, Kevin Durant to Phoenix. Oh, baby. The things that keep you up in the middle of the night in the SBO-RTS. Unfiltered, 162. In the books, as always, we're presented by our good friends at BetOnline.